In a world that constantly demands your attention, who is truly focusing on you? The answer should be you. Have you ever felt completely lost, even when surrounded by people? Have you ever caught yourself living not for your own fulfillment, but to meet the expectations of others? It's a silent trap, one that steals your time, energy, and identity before you even realize it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Meditations. The Stoics understood a fundamental truth. The key to inner strength lies in mastering your own mind, not in chasing external validation. The moment you shift your focus inward, you reclaim control. You stop being a passenger in your own life and become the one steering the wheel. If you don't focus on yourself, society will do it for you. You'll be shaped by comparisons, drowned in the noise of other people's opinions, and molded into someone you never chose to be. But imagine this. What if, for once, you poured all your energy into becoming your best self? Let's explore the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and uncover how focusing on yourself is the most powerful act of self-liberation. 1. The power of self-improvement. You versus you. If there's one battle that truly matters in life, it's the one between who you are today and who you have the potential to become. Yet most people spend their days worrying about others, what they're doing, how they're succeeding, and whether they're falling behind. But here's the truth. The moment you shift your focus from external distractions to internal growth, everything changes. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Meditations. In other words, stop debating, comparing, or analyzing how others are living their lives. Just focus on being better today than you were yesterday. But how often do we forget this simple truth? Imagine a young artist named David. He had always dreamed of being a painter, but every time he scrolled through social media, he saw the works of legendary artists, their flawless brushstrokes, their masterful compositions. And with every glance, his confidence shrank. "I'll never be this good," he thought. Why even bother? For months, David barely touched his canvas. He watched, he compared, and he let doubt consume him. Until one day, he decided to do something radical. He stopped looking outward and started looking inward. Instead of obsessing over how far behind he was, he asked himself a different question. What if I just get a little better every day? So he committed. He painted one stroke at a time. He stopped measuring his work against others and started measuring it against himself. Is today's painting better than yesterday's? That became his only metric. Over time, something remarkable happened. His skills improved, his style emerged, and most importantly, he fell in love with the process rather than the result. How many times have you done what David did? How many times have you let comparison steal your momentum? Maybe you've hesitated to start a business because you see others who are already successful. Maybe you've held back from the gym because you feel behind those who have trained for years. Maybe you've silenced your voice because someone else's seemed louder. Here's a truth that will set you free. The only person you should ever compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. The path to mastery isn't about being the best in the world. It's about being better than you were before. The Stoics believed that the true measure of success wasn't wealth, fame, or recognition. It was self-mastery, the ability to cultivate discipline, wisdom, and inner peace regardless of circumstances. So, how can you apply this to your life? Start small. Every morning set 3 simple goals. Not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, but to improve yourself. It could be reading 10 pages of a book, practicing a skill for 20 minutes, or simply showing up for yourself in a way you didn't yesterday. And here's something crucial: fall in love with the process. So many people quit because they're obsessed with the outcome. They go to the gym and expect abs in a week. They start writing and expect to be a best-selling author overnight. But the Stoics knew that real progress comes from doing the work, not chasing the reward. As Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." True freedom comes when you're no longer a slave to quick results, but instead embrace the discipline of daily effort. Think about something you've always wanted to improve. Maybe it's a new skill, your physical health, or even your mindset. What if you focused on small, consistent improvements rather than waiting for perfection? What if you embraced compounding growth, where every effort, no matter how small, builds on the last until one day you look back and realize you've transformed? Ask yourself, when was the last time I measured progress based on my own journey rather than someone else's? If you've been caught in the trap of comparison, today is the day you break free. Now let's make it real. Take a moment and drop a comment below. What's one thing you want to improve, and what's one small action you can take today to get better at it? Don't just think about it, commit to it. And if this message resonates with you, like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because when you focus on yourself, the world stops being a competition and starts becoming a place of limitless growth. This isn't just philosophy, it's a way of life. And if you embrace it, you'll never see yourself the same way again. 2. Overcoming criticism and self-doubt. Improvement is a journey filled with resistance, not just from the outside world, but from within. As you work on becoming a better version of yourself, you will inevitably encounter doubt, both from others and from your own mind. Some people will mock your ambition, question your capabilities, or dismiss your dreams as unrealistic. And in the quiet moments, you may even find yourself believing them. But what if their voices were wrong? What if, instead of retreating, you confronted every doubt and used it as fuel to push forward? Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who endured slavery before rising to greatness, once said, "If someone speaks ill of you, do not make excuses, but say, 'He does not know my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these.'" This perspective shifts the entire concept of criticism. Rather than allowing external judgments to dictate your self-worth, you must recognize them for what they are: imperfect, biased, and often meaningless. Criticism is a test, not a sentence. When someone doubts you, you have a choice. You can either allow their words to define your limits, or you can use them as motivation to rise above expectations. The problem is, most people take the first option. They shrink, conform, and abandon their goals just to avoid the discomfort of judgment. But those who choose the second path, they become unstoppable. Andrea was 45 years old when she made a bold decision. She was going to learn to play the violin. It had always been a dream of hers, but like many people, she had spent decades putting it off, convincing herself it was too late. The moment she shared her goal, the criticism began. "Violin? At your age? Isn't that something you should have started as a kid?" Others laughed, telling her she'd never be good enough to play properly. The doubts weren't just external, they crept into her own mind. Maybe they were right. Maybe she had missed her chance. But instead of letting their words defeat her, Andrea made a promise to herself. She wouldn't quit. Every single day, she practiced. At first, the sounds were harsh, the notes off-key, her fingers fumbling on the strings. The progress was slow, and the doubt didn't disappear overnight. But she kept going. Over time, her skills sharpened. A year later, she stood on a stage in front of an audience, playing with confidence and grace. The same people who once doubted her sat in silence, listening to the music she had created. And in that moment, Andrea realized something profound. The opinions of others had never mattered. The only thing that ever mattered was her own commitment to her dream. How often do we let the fear of judgment hold us back? How many dreams have been abandoned because someone said they were impossible? If you weren't afraid of what others thought, what would you do differently? The truth is, most people project their own insecurities onto others. When they say you can't do something, what they often mean is they can't imagine doing it themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Criticism is not a barrier. It is an opportunity to prove yourself, to build resilience, and to push beyond what others believe is possible. But not all criticism comes from others. Sometimes the loudest, most destructive voice is the one inside your own head. You hear it in moments of hesitation. You're not smart enough. You're not talented enough. You're not good enough. This inner dialogue is shaped by past failures, fears, and conditioning, but just because it exists doesn't mean it's true. One of the most powerful exercises in Stoicism is to challenge negative thoughts with reason. Whenever you hear that inner voice telling you that you're not capable, stop and ask yourself, is this actually true? Write down your doubts and counter them with facts. If you think, I'll never be good at this, list all the times you've improved at something through effort. If you believe, no one will take me seriously, remind yourself of the moments when people have respected you. Your mind can be trained, just like a muscle. The more you counter self-doubt with evidence of your growth, the weaker that doubt becomes. Imagine waking up tomorrow with zero fear of criticism, no fear of judgment, no fear of failure. What would you do? Would you start that business? Finally write that book? Pursue the passion you've been hiding for years? The only thing standing between you and that life isn't other people's opinions. It's your willingness to ignore them. Criticism and doubt are inevitable, but how you respond to them is entirely within your control. The next time someone questions your abilities, instead of defending yourself, simply think, "They do not know my full potential, but soon they will." There is nothing more powerful than quiet determination. Let your actions speak louder than any argument. If you've ever let the fear of criticism hold you back, it's time to take back your power. What is one thing you would do if you weren't afraid of judgment? Drop your answer in the comments below. I want to hear your story. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because in the end, the only voice that should define your life is your own. 3. Mastering self-discipline, the key to freedom. If you could master one skill that would transform every aspect of your life, what would it be? The answer is not intelligence, talent, or even luck. It is self-discipline. Without it, dreams remain fantasies, goals remain unfulfilled, and potential remains untapped. But with it, the impossible becomes possible. Self-discipline is the bridge between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. Seneca once wrote, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." True power does not come from controlling others. It comes from controlling yourself. Your habits, your mindset, and your actions determine your destiny, and yet most people let their emotions dictate their choices. They act on impulse, procrastinate, and then wonder why they are stuck. The Stoics understood that freedom is not the absence of rules, but the ability to rule over oneself. Consider this. Two men wake up in the morning. One immediately checks his phone, scrolls through social media, and tells himself, "I'll start my day soon." Hours pass, distractions pile up, and by the end of the day, he wonders where the time went. The second man wakes up, stretches, and immediately begins his morning routine. He exercises, reads, and sets his priorities for the day. By noon, he has already accomplished what the first man hasn't even started. What separates these two men? Not intelligence, not luck, simply discipline. One man is controlled by external distractions, while the other takes control of his own life. The question is, which one are you? For years, Daniel struggled with consistency. He had big dreams, building his own business, getting in shape, and mastering a new skill. But every time he tried, something got in the way. He would get excited for a week, then lose motivation. His gym membership was untouched. His business ideas remained just that, ideas. One day, he realized something. He was waiting for motivation. And motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the wind. So Daniel made a new decision. He would stop chasing motivation and start building discipline. He committed to waking up at 5 a.m. every day, no excuses. The first few mornings were brutal. His body resisted. His mind begged for extra sleep. But he showed up anyway. He didn't rely on feeling ready. He simply did what needed to be done. Months passed. His mornings became productive, his workouts became routine, and his business finally took shape. His friends noticed the change. "How do you stay so motivated?" they asked. He smiled. They didn't realize it had nothing to do with motivation. It was discipline. The Stoics believed that self-discipline is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. But just like a muscle, it weakens if neglected. So how do you build it? Here's a 3-step formula to mastering self-discipline. First, break it down. Most people fail because they set goals that are too big and overwhelming. Instead of saying, "I want to get in shape," say, "I will do 10 push-ups every morning." Instead of, "I want to read more," say, "I will read 1 page a day." Small actions, repeated daily, lead to massive results over time. Second, be consistent. The key to discipline is showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, even when it's inconvenient. Because every time you push through discomfort, you train your mind to be stronger than your excuses. Third, block distractions. Your environment shapes your habits. If your phone is the first thing you check in the morning, it owns your focus. If you surround yourself with people who lack discipline, their habits will rub off on you. Take control of your surroundings, eliminate distractions, set boundaries, and create a routine that sets you up for success. Imagine where you would be 6 months from now if you committed to one disciplined habit today. What if you exercised for 30 minutes every day? What if you read 10 pages of a book instead of scrolling endlessly? What if you wrote for 15 minutes instead of watching another show? The small choices you make daily determine your future. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the control of yourself." Most people believe that freedom means doing whatever they want. But true freedom is having control over your impulses, emotions, and actions. A person who cannot resist junk food is not free. A person who cannot stop procrastinating is not free. A person who cannot control their temper is not free. They are slaves to their desires. So ask yourself, are you in control or are you being controlled? There is only one way to find out. Choose one habit, just one, that will improve your life. Commit to it for 30 days. No excuses, no exceptions. Keep a journal, track your progress, and watch how your discipline transforms you. If you are ready to take control of your life, leave a comment below. What is one discipline you will commit to today? And if this message resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe, because true power starts with self-mastery. 4. Letting go of what you can't control. Imagine standing on a beach, watching the waves crash against the shore. No matter how much you want to stop them, the tides will rise and fall, completely indifferent to your desires. Life operates the same way. There are forces at play, events, circumstances, and other people's actions that remain beyond your control. Yet, how often do we find ourselves trapped in anxiety, frustration, and stress over things we cannot change? The Stoics understood that peace comes from focusing on what is within our power and releasing what is not. Epictetus wrote, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not." The problem is, most people do the opposite. They waste time and energy obsessing over things they can't influence while neglecting the one thing they can, themselves. Take Daniel, for example. For years, he lived in fear of losing his job. Every corporate decision, every market shift, every rumor in the office sent him into a spiral of anxiety. He worked tirelessly, not out of passion, but out of fear. Every day he checked the news, worried about the economy, and second-guessed every move he made, terrified that a single mistake would cost him his livelihood. One evening, after another exhausting day filled with worry, Daniel confided in his friend Mark, a man who had studied Stoicism for years. Mark listened patiently, then asked, "Tell me, Daniel, what part of this situation can you actually control?" Daniel frowned. "Well, I can't control the economy. I can't control corporate decisions. I guess I can only control how well I do my job." Mark nodded. "Exactly. So why are you spending all your energy on things outside your control instead of mastering the one thing you can?" That conversation changed everything. Instead of fearing the unknown, Daniel shifted his focus to excelling at his work. He stopped worrying about layoffs and started improving his skills, strengthening his network, and bringing more value to his role. The anxiety that had once consumed him began to fade, and when, months later, his company did downsize, he wasn't afraid. He was prepared. His new skills and connections led him to a better opportunity. This is the essence of letting go, not giving up, but redirecting your focus to where it actually matters. The Stoics teach us that there are only two categories in life: things we can control, our thoughts, actions, decisions, and attitude. Things we cannot control. Everything else, including other people's opinions, the economy, the weather, and even the past. Most suffering comes from trying to control the second category while ignoring the first. But here's the truth: no amount of worry will change what is outside your control. Think about your own life. Have you ever lost sleep over what someone said about you? Have you ever spent hours replaying an argument in your head, wishing you had said something different? Have you ever felt anxious about the future, despite knowing you have no way of predicting or altering it? Now ask yourself, what if I let go? Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, understood this well. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Strength is not about controlling everything around you. It's about controlling your response to what happens. But how do you actually apply this? Here's a simple but powerful Stoic practice you can use every time you feel overwhelmed. Step 1. Ask yourself, do I have control over this? If the answer is no, remind yourself that worrying will not change the outcome. Consciously decide to let go. Step 2. If it is within your control, take action. Instead of worrying about your health, improve your diet. Instead of stressing about failure, focus on preparation. Action eliminates anxiety. Step 3. Shift your mindset from expectation to acceptance. Expectations cause suffering. Instead of expecting others to act a certain way or life to unfold according to your plans, practice accepting reality as it is. Imagine two people caught in a sudden downpour. One curses the sky, frustrated that his day is ruined. The other smiles, adjusts his coat, and enjoys the sound of the rain. Same storm, different mindset. Which one do you want to be? The ability to let go of what you can't control is one of the most liberating skills you can develop. It frees you from unnecessary suffering and allows you to direct your energy towards what truly matters. So here's a challenge for you. For the next 7 days, every time you feel anxious or frustrated, ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's not, release it. If it is, take action. Try this and watch how your stress begins to fade. If this message resonates with you, leave a comment below. What is one thing you've been holding on to that you need to let go of? And if you're ready to take full control of your mindset, like, share, and subscribe, because true strength begins with self-mastery. 5. Living with purpose and unbreakable focus. Imagine waking up every day knowing exactly why you are here. Imagine having a purpose so clear, so deeply rooted in your soul, that no distraction, no criticism, and no external force could shake you from your path. This is the power of living with purpose and unbreakable focus. But here's the harsh truth. Most people don't live this way. Instead, they drift, pulled in different directions by societal expectations, by other people's dreams, by the fear of choosing the wrong path. They become spectators in their own lives, waiting for clarity, waiting for permission, waiting for the right time to start truly living. But if you wait, life will pass you by. In Stoicism, purpose is not something you stumble upon, it is something you cultivate. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do every act of your life as though it were the last act of your life." This is a reminder that life is not endless, that each day is a chance to live intentionally, to take action, to step closer to the person you are meant to become. But how many of us actually do this? How many of us wake up and ask, what truly matters to me? Instead, we chase what society tells us to chase: money, status, validation, only to find ourselves feeling empty. Consider the story of Daniel, a man who spent his entire life trying to make others happy. From a young age, he was told what success should look like. He followed the traditional path, went to a prestigious university, secured a high-paying job, and lived a life that from the outside seemed perfect. But inside, he felt lost. The problem wasn't his achievements, it was that none of them belonged to him. They were borrowed dreams, expectations passed down from his parents, his peers, and the world around him. He had climbed the ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. One day, after years of feeling unfulfilled, Daniel asked himself a simple but powerful question. If no one's opinion mattered, what would I do with my life? The answer came instantly. He had always wanted to write stories, ideas, reflections, but he had pushed it aside, convinced that it wasn't practical. But at that moment, he made a choice. He quit his job, moved to a small apartment, and devoted himself entirely to writing. It was terrifying, uncertain, and at times lonely. But for the first time in his life, he felt truly alive. Within 3 years, his books gained recognition, and more importantly, he felt an unshakable sense of purpose. His story isn't unique. It's the story of anyone who has ever ignored their true calling to live a life designed by someone else. The fear of stepping into your purpose is real, but so is the regret of never trying. The truth is, the path of purpose isn't always easy. There will be resistance, both from within and from the outside world. People will question you. They will try to talk you out of it. Not because they don't believe in you, but because your courage forces them to confront their own fears. This is why focus is essential. Without it, you will be swayed by every doubt, every opinion, every obstacle. So how do you cultivate unbreakable focus? The first step is clarity, knowing exactly what you want and why. Most people struggle with focus because they have no clear direction. They are like a ship without a rudder, moving wherever the waves take them. But if you define your purpose, you create an internal compass that guides your actions. Write it down, say it out loud. Ask yourself every morning, what am I working toward? The second step is elimination. Distractions are the enemy of purpose. The world is full of noise, social media, gossip, meaningless debates. If you do not actively filter what enters your mind, you will be pulled in 100 directions. Seneca warned, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." In other words, if you don't know where you're going, every little distraction will feel urgent. Protect your energy, guard your time. Say no to anything that does not align with your highest goals. The third step is commitment. Purpose is not found in a moment of inspiration. It is built through consistent action. Many people think they need motivation to stay focused, but motivation is fleeting. One day, you feel unstoppable. The next, you feel stuck. This is why discipline is more important than motivation. Treat your purpose like a sacred duty, something you show up for every single day, regardless of how you feel. Think of an athlete training for the Olympics. They don't wake up every morning feeling excited to train. There are days when they are exhausted, uninspired, full of doubt. But they train anyway, because their goal is bigger than their temporary emotions. The same applies to your purpose. There will be days when you want to quit, when everything feels pointless. That is the test. Will you keep going? Will you fight for your vision, even when no one is watching? Another powerful Stoic practice is visualizing the end. Imagine yourself at the end of your life, looking back. What do you see? Do you see a life well lived, full of courage, purpose, and meaning? Or do you see a life filled with regrets, a list of what ifs and I should have? When you visualize the end, it clarifies the present. It reminds you that time is passing, that every day is an opportunity to move toward your purpose or away from it. Purpose is not something external that you need to search for. It is already within you, waiting to be uncovered. The question is not whether you have a purpose, but whether you are willing to listen to it, fight for it, and stay committed to it, no matter what stands in your way. So now ask yourself, are you truly living with purpose, or are you just going through the motions? Are you chasing a dream that belongs to you, or are you following a script that was handed to you? If you had no fear of failure, no fear of judgment, what would you do? Your purpose is yours alone. No one else can give it to you, and no one else can take it away. The choice is in your hands. Decide today, not tomorrow, not next year, today, to live with purpose, to focus with unshakable determination, and to create a life that in the end, you will be proud to call your own. You are the center of your own life. No one else can live it for you. No one else will do the hard work of becoming the best version of yourself. The lessons of Stoicism are clear. Your mind, your actions, and your growth are within your control. Everything else? Distractions, opinions, expectations. They are mere noise pulling you away from your true path. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. When you invest in your growth, you don't just improve your own life. You become a stronger, wiser, and more resilient person. You inspire those around you. You show others what's possible. So ask yourself, if there were no limits, no fear, no doubt, no external pressure, what would you do today? Who would you become? Would you chase a dream you've been too afraid to start? Would you finally let go of what no longer serves you? Would you step into your power unapologetically? Now is the time to stop waiting, stop hesitating, start focusing on yourself. The world will always demand your attention, but you get to decide where your energy goes. If this message resonates with you, let's take action together. Drop a comment below. Share one way you will start prioritizing yourself today. Hit like, because these ideas deserve to be heard. Share this video, because someone you know needs to hear this too. And subscribe, because this is just the beginning of your journey to self-mastery. I'll leave you with this final thought. If you had no fear of losing people, how would your life change? Think about it. And until next time, choose yourself, choose greatness, and never apologize for becoming who you were meant to be.